Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Now, the timing of this is just spectacular. I guess this video is an extension of the one that I made yesterday, covering the viral clip of a black pastor in a Democrat district absolutely slamming Joe Biden to what seemed to be a very Democrat-leaning audience. Of course, we were talking about Blexit, the black exit of the Democrat Party, or the minority vote exodus currently happening. And just the next day after recording and releasing that video, I happened to stumble upon a clip of CNN reporting on the exact same phenomenon. The Blexit phenomenon really seems to be much bigger, or at least growing, over the last couple of years and over the last couple of election cycles. This is the phenomenon that we're going to continue to cover because, of course, it's a major factor in the collapse of the Democrat Party. Leftism continues to fail at a spectacular rate, and of course, we're going to continue to be along for the ride and cover it. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here, as CNN viewers are having straight up panic attacks while watching the network, being hit with the news that they're slowly losing the black vote. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at this from MRC Newsbusters. A huge drop. CNN reports on black voters running away from Democrats. Electoral conditions are getting so bad for the Democrat Party that on Monday morning, CNN's New Day was forced to report on a new poll that shows African American voters are souring on the Democrat Party. While the party still wins a majority of black voters, the percentage that Republicans are projected to win is enough to make a difference in key states like Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada. The network's senior data reporter Harry Enton was tasked with breaking the news to CNN's dwindling audience on failed morning show New Day. Take a look at this.
So take a look here. This is black voters' electoral preferences in pre-election polling. Look, black voters are the core part of the Democratic Party. And as you can see here in the race for Congress, look, they're still getting 74% support in the pre-election polling right now. But compare that to the final polling for 2020 president and 2018 Congress. Back in 2020, it was 84%, 85% in 2018. So you're clearly seeing right here that there is less support for Democratic candidates for Congress among African Americans. And you can look at the Republican column as well, and you can see that 12%, not exactly high, but that's actually the high watermark. It was 9% in 2020, 9% in 2018. So basically what was about a 75, 76-point margin is now down in the low 60s. So look, Democrats still well ahead with African Americans, but in a game in which you're trying to drive up margins, the margin among African Americans for Democrats is clearly down.
So what's going on here? What's the cause of this?
You know, there's a lot of things that could be going on. And the truth of the matter is, when you look across polling, it's actually kind of hard to build up a large enough sample size to really dig in on a lot of questions. But I think that this kind of gets at the core part of it. Take a look at Joe Biden's approval rating among black adults. If you go back to January to June of 2021, look how high it was. It's 87%. 87%, basically matching what he got in the 2020 election. But look at that approval rating now in August and September of 2022. It's all the way down to 64%. Now, obviously, Joe Biden's approval rating with all Americans is down, but it's not down by anywhere near this amount. This 23-point drop among all Americans, it's only down about 10 to 15 points. So there is a disproportionate drop in Joe Biden's approval rating among African Americans, and I think that's kind of driving why you're seeing Democrats running for Congress getting a significantly lower margin than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, that is huge. That is a huge drop there.
Folks, it's very simple. It turns out that Jen Psaki's warning to the Democrat Party was correct. That if the 2022 midterms ends up being a referendum on Joe Biden, then the Democrats are doomed. The fact of the matter is, it seems as though it's very likely that this upcoming midterm election is going to be exactly that. A referendum on failed, sleepy, creepy Joe Biden. From 87% support from black voters down to 64%. Democrats as a whole, as congressional candidates, have currently lost roughly 10 to 11% in support from black voters, while Republicans have made a gain of 3%. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that there's going to be a 10 to 20% support increase for Republicans when it comes to black voters, but there doesn't have to be. Of course, we know political trends are incredibly slow, but small percentages can make a huge difference in key districts in key states. As mentioned earlier by MRC Newsbusters, these current percentages are enough to project Republican wins in states like Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada. But you could even possibly add Pennsylvania to the list. The city of Philadelphia, for instance, has a very sizable black community. If that starts to shift, Pennsylvania might follow. Maybe even Michigan with Detroit. Let's just stick with Georgia as the example to make the point. If Joe Biden won the state by the slim margin that he did, well, if Democrats start losing the black vote in the Atlanta metro area, well, Democrats don't win the state anymore. And the question that brings up is that if this is happening with the black vote, the most loyal Democrat voting bloc, then what does that mean for every other voting group? If your most loyal supporters are ditching you, then the phenomenon must be even greater with other groups. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see here, which is going to be absolutely shocking for Democrats. But let's stick on the black vote for a second. You know, there seems to be a whole lot of confusion. From this CNN article, Democrats are lagging among black voters. That could cost them in November. A user on Twitter, JD Chase, quotes the article. It's difficult to say why black voters seem less pro-democratic, or pro-democrat is probably the better way to say that, than they were in 2020 or 2018. Well, he simply responds with, I know why. Democrats implemented jab mandates that disproportionately fired, banned, and denied bodily autonomy of black people. And of course, that's a very valid point, but even beyond that, it's not the only one. You know, to use that woke line of thinking, leftoids are always telling you, well, this disproportionately affects minority voters. Well, they seem to only use that as a political weapon to attack Republicans. It never seems to exist when it comes to their own policies and their own performance. Current gas prices, rent prices, interest rates, home prices, inflation, wages, the cost of literally everything. Well, wouldn't you think, using Democrats' line of logic, that all of it would be disproportionately affecting black voters? I mean, you'd think that's what the Democrats would be saying or focused on, delivering results for the black vote that they seem to care so much about. But of course, they're pushing nothing but cope, lies, propaganda, continuously denying reality. We've been covering Joe Biden and his ridiculous non-response to all of the massive piling crises. Under his watch, he continues to make people's lives worse, and then on top of it refuses to take responsibility, to act, to respond, to do anything of value for anyone, which of course minority voters are paying attention to. You know, the political pandering that we see from the Democrats is one thing, but I'd say it's probably not enough to overcome the doubling of gas prices, the probably over 20% increase in inflation. They're reporting it as 9.1% peak, but of course we know it's probably somewhere closer to 20%. And of course everything else. Joe Biden seems to be a catalyst. You know, I'll just make a custom meme to express what I'm talking about visually. Something like this probably does the trick. Joe Biden's failed presidency is making people wake up faster than ever before. And it's not just having an impact politically, it's having an impact culturally. And of course we know politics is downstream from culture. I think many minority voters are starting to wake up and realize that their value system as individuals and as communities isn't being represented by the Democrat Party. It isn't in line with Democrat values. And so we're seeing the exodus of the Democrat Party. You know, here's actually a great example from the Kanye West Tucker Carlson interview that just happened on Fox the other night.
The lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
Who would have thought we'd see massive Hollywood celebrities pushing a message like this? And it's having an impact downstream. Sharon Osbourne wants refund after donating $900,000 to, quote, scam Black Lives Matter. This in response to Kanye West. Now we even have Lauryn Hill's daughter and Bob Marley's granddaughter, Stella Marley, speaking out against backlash after wearing Kanye West's White Lives Matter t-shirt. Lauryn Hill's daughter, Stella Marley, joined Kanye West in wearing the very controversial slogan on her t-shirt. Here's a response that Complex highlighted on Twitter. I absolutely expect this from Kanye, but Stella Marley has disgraced the name and memory of her grandfather, Bob Marley, and everything her mother stands for. He was the world's black freedom fighter. If you don't know, her mother is the legendary Lauryn Hill. How does this disgrace the name and memory of her grandfather, Bob Marley? Who are you to speak for Bob Marley's spirit and soul? The idea that white lives matter is somehow an affront to black freedom fighting? How utterly ridiculous. If anything, you're exposing the exact hypocrisy that the t-shirt is supposed to expose. Stella Marley responded, "The past 24 hours has allowed me to realize that most of y'all are stuck in a hive mind mentality." Probably something like the liberal hive mind. I love that that word is becoming more and more used these days. First Elon Musk, now Stella Marley. You do what the group tells you to do and think what the group tells you to think. Witnessing someone break free from the agenda sends you all into such panic that you will do whatever it takes to force them back into the box that you feel they should exist in. All morale and empathy is eliminated due to the fact that you feel justified by your emotions. The victim becomes the victimizer. You cannot bully me, manipulate me, or coax me into silence, nor will you bully me into being what you want me to be. I don't care how many tweets you make, DMs you send, or articles you write. Throughout all of the chaos, I have yet to speak on my experience. If you do know me, you know that nothing I do is without deep thought and intention. Wait till you hear what I have to say." Beautiful and eloquently stated, and it's yet again more evidence of a cultural shift that is happening. People are breaking away from the left-wing cultural cult, and once it starts spreading to Hollywood, at least organically, not with Hillary Clinton feeding talking points to various celebrity puppets, but just organically spreading like a real idea, like a genuine movement, well then you know it's probably much bigger than you might have expected, and the cultural shift is expanding beyond expectations. And I'd say that's probably a good thing. I mean, these leftoids have completely lost the plot. How is a black celebrity wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt a bad thing? The implication is that white lives matter. Well, guess what? They do. If anything, I see that as racial unity. But of course, mending the racial divide serves the opposite goal of the racial identity obsessed left-wing zealots, and it has them predictably melting down. That's what I got for you guys though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.